So what is going on, everybody? My name is Mehul and welcome to your 10th Angular tutorial, for which I'm gonna show you what ng-for is and how to get started with it. So ng-for, as you might have guessed, is just a way to loop over some iteratable things like arrays and objects. So nothing fancy about it. It's just still the same it was in Angular 2, right? So, or even if there are any changes, they are not a lot major ones. So what we can do right now is, as you know, that we have this um, object with the values as arrays. So what we can do is change this to ng-for, and again we have the star as a syntactic sugar. And further, we're gonna get rid of all of this. So what we can do is rather first of all change this to something like this, and say that this is something like this, and we can say name as HTML, type as front end, and then we can say, again we can just duplicate this a little, and then we can say this is CSS, JavaScript, Ruby, backend, and we're good to go, right? So now what we can do is simply say let language of my favorite, whatever we named it, my favorite lang, right? So thing you need to remember here is that this is not in, this is not this, because in JavaScript we do something like for a and b and then we iterate it if you have an object, right? But this won't work for Angular. It requires you to write let your temporary variable of your array or whatever iteratable item you're on, right? So now we have access to this language, which is just a single object in this array. So what we can do now is pretty much create a list out of it. So rather we should just do this in another list, and finally we can say li language dot name and language dot type, right? And if I save this, you can see we get HTML front end, CSS front end, JS front end, and Ruby backend, just like we would expect it to be. Now another thing what you can do is that you can actually get the index of the item as well. So you can say let I is equal to index, and Sublime Text is kind of breaking out of it. So I guess we do not need to worry a lot about Sublime Text. It's just some problem with the syntax highlighter. So anyways, what we can do now is simply say index, or other I, and something like that. And you can see that in the output we get 0, 1, 2, and 3, the indices of the elements in your array. So again, that's pretty much it. Angular provides a bunch of other items as well, just like this I is equal to index. You could also do like let even is equal to even. Now there's nothing a lot of things going on here. It's just that it's a boolean. Whenever the item which is iterating is even, then it would be pretty much true, right? So what we can do is you can say ng if and say here even, as simple as that, right? So if I save this file and take a look, you can see that we get only HTML and .js, and if you take a look, you can see that the 0th one is HTML and the second one is JS, which is the only even one, right? And similarly, you can do like odd is equal to odd, and again, this one is not important. You can just name it anything, but this one needs to be odd, right? So you can do something like this, and you'll get CSS and Ruby. which is the 1 and the third element, right? Again, you have something first which would just be true whenever the first item is iterating. I don't know, you might need it somewhere, but it's usually not necessary, right? You get only the first one. And again, you have the last here, and you can again do the same thing. You'll just get Ruby, right? So that is pretty much how ng for works, and yeah, that's how you iterated over an array of objects. So that's all for this one, and if you liked it, then don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for watching. I'll see you then in the next one.